Hello to everyone today. I hope you're doing very well. This is Tuesday. It is the 5th of November in the year 2024. It is election day. We're electing a president of the United States today. I've already voted. I voted early. So many people are out voting now. Many people. We had a record breaking uh, early voting here in Texas, and I am just so glad that so many people are voting. So, we're talking about disappointments today. There are things that are going to happen that we have no control over. We can do our part as far as we can go. After that, it's done. We've done what we can do. So, the election for the president is happening today. This is a voting day, and then of course they said that it might take days to get all the ballots counted and the accuracy of the election. Then we're electing senators, we're electing what is it, representatives, we're electing uh, just different elections all over the place. So somebody somewhere is going to be disappointed, somebody somewhere. So that's where we are today, dealing with disappointments. Dealing with disappointments. Thank you for being with me. Thank you. Dear God, as I sit before you to speak, I pray to you that my soul you will keep. And if I should die before I finish, I pray to you, dear God, in the name of Jesus, that any outstanding sins will be forgiven. Amen. Amen. And so today, I'm just so grateful and so thankful. So we're going to get into what I have today. And I went to psychology today. Of course, that's one of my favorite sites. And then I am in the Harvard Business School today. I've been there before. So I have this information that I'd like to share with you because I've heard people talking and they're so uh, all hyped up. And I saw this morning on the news where one man, and that's not the first time I've heard someone talk about it, but he's saying that there is going to be trouble if the person that on that side that he and they who are in the same mindset that he is, that there's going to be trouble. There's going to be a lot of trouble. And I think he even said it's going to be worse than what they did on the 6th of January, when all that insurrection came about. There's nothing anybody can do about this. That's why we get out and vote. And if the Electoral College is fair, if the votes are counted fairly and accurately, then we are going to have an elected president of the United States. And we know there are several different people running, but the major candidates are uh, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. So we know those are the ones. One of those people will be the President of the United States going into 2025, starting in 2025. So there's no thing anyone can do to change the outcome. They can threaten violence or whatever. But I want to tell you this, there's going to be some disappointment somewhere all the time. There's nothing we can do about it. We just do our duty. And then the thing is that so many people are talking about violence. If their candidate doesn't win, it's going to be this and there's going to be terrible. And they're going to they're going to retaliate and all of that. And look, 99.9%, can we go 999% of these people will never ever come face to face personally with either one of the candidates. Never ever. And it just makes no sense. to stir up all this trouble and everything. But some people are worried, and you're going to live if you do what you're supposed to do, which is take care of your life and continue on, and don't do things that are detrimental to your well-being or anyone in your family. Just vote, do your civic duty, and let the outcome be the outcome, because if something happens to you, unless by some means it gets to someone up there, whoever it is, they will never know that you did this or that or the other. So let's just love each other, and let's let this election go smoothly, the transition smoothly. This is what I'm saying, and I believe it can be done. I believe, because there's nothing, I'm talking about this worrying today, okay, and this disappointment, because there's nothing any of us can do about the outcome of it, okay? So now let me get on into this, because I wanted to say that it's, I would say 1 in 15, 20 million, that whoever is doing this and planning all this trouble and all that, just in case their favorite person doesn't win, they will never be face to face with either one of these people. Never. And to me, I know people have their convictions. I know they feel like if they do this and that, they'll be noticed and it will help. But let's live together and love one another. Let's do that. Let's do that. And okay, let me go on. Let me go on. Psychology Today, how to stop worrying about things you can't change. And then in Harvard Business School, how to stop worrying about things you can't change. How to stop worrying about things you can't change. There's so much going on here. And we know from life itself, from the experiences we have in everyday life, that there are things that we cannot change. We have no control over them. Just look at our lives, at the people that we love who have gone on into eternity. What can we do about that? Yes, we're disappointed. We know they're gone. We can't change that. Who are you going to fight and come up against that? Nobody. See, we have to look at this and we have to be wise. We can be upset. We can be disappointed, but not take it out on someone else, because these things are going to be as long as we are allowed to live in this world, okay? As long as we are allowed to live in this world. Now, this is, it troubles me, because there are people planning to be violent and do things that they shouldn't do, because there's nothing they can do about anything anyway. We just cast your vote and then accept what God allows. And then we can all work together for the good of America. We can. Okay, how to brace yourself for disappointment. This is Harvard Business School, and this is by Amy Gallo. How to brace yourself for disappointment, because I know tonight it's going to be a lot of disappointed people. And so we're going to brace ourselves, okay? Her story is going to be made. Oh, yes, her story and his story going to be made on this day. How to Brace Yourself for Disappointment by Amy Gallo. And she released this November the 3rd in 2020. So, the summary of it is, how do you prepare yourself for what might be a large, perhaps even life-changing disappointment? Is it better to think it through ahead of time, Or do you just end up wasting energy and causing yourself anxiety when you can't know the outcome yet anyway? The first thing you need to do is ask if worrying really helps. If your anxiety motivates you to take action that can affect the outcome, then it might be useful. That's nice. I want to read that again. Okay? The first thing you need to do, see if everybody could hear this and everybody would put on the rational frame of mind, this would help so many people. The first thing you need to do is ask if worrying really helps. If your anxiety motivates you to take action that can affect the outcome, then it might be useful. It might be, okay? Worrying can also compel you to gather resources such as social support to help you stay resilient if the worst case scenario comes to fruition. But you should balance any agonizing with some sense of hope. You hear that? You should balance any agonizing with some sense of hope. As long as you are not overconfident that things will go your way. And see, that is the problem. Overconfidence. So many people are overconfident that this is the way it's going to be. And I know for a fact this is the way it's going to be. And if it doesn't come out like I know it's going to be, there is going to be some trouble in this place. And that's where many people's minds are right now. As long as you are not overconfident that things will go your way. I want to do this again. But you should balance any agonizing with some sense of hope, as long as you are not overconfident that things will go your way. Definitely don't wallow in misery. And see, that's what so many people do. They wallow in their misery. They're overconfident. They're sure that it's going to be this way and there's no other way it can be. And I will not accept any other way. But that's not the way life is. We have disappointments. We have disappointments more than we care to have, but they come with life. But we keep living. We deal with them. So you can't prepay your pain. You can't prepay your pain. And if you have trouble quelling unhelpful negative emotions, try distracting yourself with something fun or meditative. And so this is another thing that can be a problem for people who are overconfident. Overconfident won't take no for an answer and assure that if this doesn't go my way, there's going to be trouble. They don't want to distract themselves. They want to stay in that frame of mind. They don't want to think of anything fun. Don't want to think of anything meditative. Wouldn't it be so nice if everybody could get into this frame of mind? This is really good. This is from Harvard Business Review. Now, she's going to talk about some experiences she's had, okay? And her last name is Gallo. She said, I can recall many times in my life where I've been waiting for big news and was worried that things wouldn't go my way. How many of you have been there? I've been there. I have been there. Oh, yes. There were college and grad school applications, job interviews, promotions, book proposals, and even, yes, elections. We're all here right now. We're all in this together. So we are together learning to deal with these disappointments. Everything is not going to go our way. So she said, I've never known the best way to make it through these waiting periods. Often they feel agonizing. My mind was vacillating between imagining the best possible outcome and bracing myself for the worst. So these are often times where my sleep suffers, and I spend the hours between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. with dark thoughts about what the future might bring, not to mention all of the mistakes I've made along the way. Oh, yes, has that ever happened to you? I think it's happened to all of us. I believe it has. Elder Davis would tell me, he said, Sister Davis, you suffer vicariously. And I said, Elder Davis, I said, well, what is that? And then I looked it up also. But he said, you worry about things that you can't do anything about. So many people suffer vicariously. And then they want to find a way to retaliate when there's really nobody to blame but themselves for allowing themselves to get worked up because of disappointment. Things didn't go their way. And I'm talking about everybody. Okay? So she said, one of my main coping mechanisms during these times of uncertainty is thinking through the potential disappointment. I know I'm not alone, and she's not alone. We think about this 20, and she, like I told you, this is in 2020. Okay, she said this year has been a year of disappointments, often serious and grave ones, and we know all about that, don't we? For so many people, from job losses to school closures to illness and death. And there are likely more disappointments on the way. Disappointments have not stopped yet, okay? There are the leaders who are anticipating the possibility of more layoffs, the small business owners who are not sure if they can survive another mandated closure, and the parents who are not sure how they will perform their jobs if schools can't remain open. That was in 2020. We don't know what's going to happen in 2024. There are things still happening. There are things happening 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All we can do is live in the now, where we are now, where we are here, right now, in this moment, this second in time. So, how do you prepare yourself for what might be a large, perhaps even life changing disappointment? It's better to think it through ahead of time, or do you just end up wasting energy and causing yourself anxiety uh, when you can't know the outcome anyway? So she's talking about we could brace ourselves for big news. So she asked experts to weigh in. So I thought she was repeating that. Okay, she said, I wanted to better understand how we could brace ourselves for big news. So I asked two experts, this is her talking, okay, to weigh in. So here's their advice. So here we go. The advice they gave is to ask yourself if worrying helps. Some people, it sounds, but some people are going to be so disappointed that they're going to be ill, never did well. It's going to be terrible for the disappointment that some people are going to face today. And it really doesn't have to be if they had someone who is thinking rational and that could get through to them. But we know that everybody's not going to get through to everybody. There's going to be some anxious, disappointed people after today. Ask yourself if worrying helps. So if you would share this, and if you share it around, I have over 1,000, um, what they say, friends here, and then I have followers on the other social outlets. And if people would share this, it's not taking anything away from anyone. If you share this, this is to help other people. Ask yourself if worrying helps. This is what the experts gave to her. Here's the thing, sometimes worrying does help. It can spur you to become better prepared, mitigating your anxiety in the long run, okay? So if you want to succeed and you worry you might fall or fail, the gap between those realities creates motivation to take action, says Art Markman, a professor of psychology at the University of Texas in Austin, and he's the author Bring Your Brain to Work Using Cognitive Science to Get a Job, Do It Well, and Advance Your Career. So, if you're worried about losing your job because of the economic downturn, for example, you might get your finances in order to reach out to former colleagues who might know of job leads. So, this is called defensive pessimism. Defensive pessimism. That's preparing yourself, okay, just in case. But if you've already done all that you can do to affect the outcome, you, perhaps the job interview is completed, you've made your case to a potential funder, or you voted and made calls for your candidate, then agonizing doesn't do you much good. In those moments when the outcome is utterly out of your control, the worry is only going to create heat, Markman said. Energy with direction is work, but energy without direction is heat, and it comes out as worry and anxiety. Never heard that quote before. I haven't, but I like that. So he said, energy with direction is work, but energy without direction is heat, and it comes out as worry and anxiety. Wow. So ask yourself if the negative emotions you're feeling will actually compel you to take further action that would help stave off the negative outcome, okay? Stave off. Will it help? Will it help? Will it help? And she said, yes, sometimes worrying does help, but it has to be in what's a positive, has to affect you in a positive way. That worrying that is sometimes good because we all worry. We know that. We all worry. So think through. The next one is think through what you will do in the worst case scenario. See, if people would stop and think about it, stop and think about it. Thank you so much for being with me today. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Think through what you will do in the worst case scenario. And we're talking about dealing with disappointments. One action you might take, for example, is gathering the resources you'll need to get through the disappointment. Sometimes the worry helps because it forces you to think about contingencies and how to be ready, says Markman. Zokinius, or it could be Kinias, Kinias. So I'm going to spell it. So and I don't know whether it's going to be Zoe, Zoe. Forgive me if I mispronounce your name. Okay? An associate professor in NC who studies resilience says that you can bolster yourself by playing out the possible negative outcome. If it helps you imagine how you survive the worst case scenario, thinking through your disappointment steadies the anxiety of anticipation in the moment, she explains. For example, if you're waiting to hear about a new job, Kenias, excuse me, please, suggests you might tell yourself, there will be other opportunities. I have the skills and experience to be up for consideration. So if I don't get this, I'll keep trying, approach the problem in a different way, or do something a little bit different next time. See, that's the way to do it. And wouldn't it be so nice if we could all think of that before we get all out of sorts? Wouldn't it be so nice? We're talking about dealing with disappointments, dealing with disappointments, disappointments. There are also several research backed ways that you can prepare yourself for a negative outcome. Kenny S. points to self affirmation, in which you reflect on techniques in which you reflect on your core values and how you carry them out by being a good friend or participating in community service that can buffer resiliency in advance of disappointment. She also suggests mindfulness practices where you focus on your breath, breathing slowly and consciously, experiencing the inhale and exhale through simple guided mediation. She explains that this helps to release both negative emotion and attachment to sunk costs. You can also reach out to people who share the same worry or who can provide help if and when you need it. Now these have to be some people who have sound minds, rounded and grounded in soundness, okay? Because we know some things are happening now, and some people you don't need to go to if you're trying to figure this out and do the best thing for you, okay? So you can also reach out to people who share the same worry or who can provide help if and when you need it. Any of these practices can help make you more resilient in the face of disappointment. Next, balance worry with hope. Balance worry with hope. Yes, it's okay to hope. Oh, yes, it is. It's okay to hope. As someone who is irrationally superstitious, the writer says, I've often resisted the idea of imagining a positive outcome, thinking it will somehow curse the process. Of course, this is rubbish, she says, okay? Thinking positive thoughts is time, and it's fine, okay? Thinking positive thoughts is fine. A certain number of fantasies about what you would do if you reached your goal can be helpful, said Markman. You might imagine what you'd wear to the first day of your job or think through who you'd call to share the good news. Kenya suggests adopting Maya Angelou's words from I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings, hoping for the best, prepared for the worst, and unsurprised by anything in between. I like that. And have you ever seen that movie? I watched it once, and I think I watched maybe half of it again. I think I'll go back and watch that movie again. In Kenya's experience, successful leaders have the capacity to anticipate and plan for setbacks, but this tactic works best when balanced with positivity and an ability to enjoy and experience the present moment through optimism, mindfulness, and social support. I like this. And I want to go back and do that again. See, there's a way that we can deal with disappointment. Things that we cannot change. We cannot influence. We cannot change. In Kenius's experience, successful leaders have the capacity to anticipate and plan for setbacks, but this tactic works best when balanced with positivity and an ability to enjoy and experience the present moment through optimism, mindfulness, and social support. Being both planful and hopeful can improve well being and make us more resilient if and when the worst case scenario comes true. And I'm going to ask you to excuse me for just a few seconds. I'm going to go to the door because I think a package has been delivered, but it'll take me just a few seconds, okay?
I'd like to teach the whole world music. To sing a simple melody. To sing about all the joys and good times, yeah. You see, that's the way God meant for it to be.
Thank you so much for your patience. I thought I'd just play one of our songs. That's the Polk Sisters and Company. I'd love to teach the whole world music. And we're getting back to our piece here, getting back to it. And this is really good for me, really good. And sometimes we have to, well, you know how it is when you get packages or some mail. Sometimes it's best when you feel like you should get on it right now, you should do it so you understand. Thank you so much for your patience. Now I'm going to continue this. The next step here is to temper your confidence. Temper your confidence. You can be hopeful, but you don't want to be overconfident. Not even entertaining the possibility of the negative outcome can be emotionally devastating. The risk is when people are blindsided with overconfidence, as many Hillary Clinton supporters were in the 2016 presidential election. They were already planning how to celebrate, Kenya said, before the Electoral College votes were counted. And here's where we are now, okay? We are back again, here again. That's why I'm dealing with this, and I thank God for giving me this subject. Next, don't rehearse your misery. These are really good. And this is from the Harvard Business Review. You won't guard yourself against pain by trying to feel it ahead of time. As Markman said, there is no way to prepay your pain, and reinforcing negative emotions can cause more pain in the lead up to and after the disappointment, explains Kenius. Feeling your misery in advance of the news also isn't helpful because we are not very good at predicting future emotions, as extensive research from Dan Gilbert, Tim Wilson, George Lowenstein, and Daniel Kahneman has shown. We tend to overestimate the intensity of negative feelings like sadness, anger, and frustration, and we think we're going to experience them longer than we actually do. Researchers call this affective forecasting. What do they call it? Affective forecasting. And they say, let me go back and do this again. They say we can't prepay the pain, okay? But there's been some research, and we tend to, the results from this research are we tend to overestimate the intensity of negative feelings like sadness, anger, and frustration, and we think we're going to experience them longer than we actually do. And would you know that some people try to prolong these feelings just so they can stay mad and they be hyped up so that they can do something. Researchers call this affective forecasting, and the reality is that negative events usually prove to be less intense emotionally, and the bad feelings are more transient than we expect. Oh, yes. And have you ever thought about it and you said, oh, that wasn't as bad as I thought it would be? I've done that. That wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. You've been anticipating it to be this way and that way, and like they say, you cannot prepay pain. So you're just thinking and you're nervous and anxious, and then you say, that wasn't near as bad as I thought it would be. My goodness. So the next one is reframe the anticipated pain. Reframe the anticipated pain. Wanting something really badly means that you care, and that is a good thing. There will be a sting if you don't get it, and the pain is often proportional to what you invested, says Markman. And so many people have invested so many deep emotions into what's going on today. They've invested in it. This is so good. This is Markman's statement. There will be a sting if you don't get it, and the pain is often proportional to what you invested, says Markman. So when you're worried about how devastated you might feel, remind yourself that that's the cost of caring. And the goal in life isn't to avoid all negative feelings. If you did that, you'd rather put yourself out there and try to reach your goals. So you might think of the pain as a good thing and allow yourself to grieve if things don't go your way. Allow yourself to grieve. Being aware of a negative outcome can help you get your resources in a row but you are still likely to have to go through a grieving process for anything that makes a tear or tear in your life story, says Markman. And remember to keep it in perspective. This is the point here. Keep it in perspective. If you don't get the outcome you want, all of the effort you put in this time is setting yourself up for your next time at bat. Okay? I did that a little slow. And remember to keep it in perspective. If you don't get the outcome you want, all of the effort you put in this time is setting yourself up for your next time at bat. If you consistently go after things, you set yourself up for success down the line, Markman said. Let me get. Okay, in other words, just because you lose one round doesn't mean the fight isn't worth fighting. Just because you lose one round doesn't mean the fight isn't worth fighting. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for being with me. Distract yourself. We're talking about dealing with disappointments. Distract yourself. Much of this advice might fall into the category of easier said than done, especially when you're starting at your or staring at your ceiling in the middle of the night. That's why Markman says to some of the best tactics to still yourself while you wait involve distracting yourself. That's why Markman says some of the best tactics to still yourself while you wait involve distracting yourself. He suggests watching a silly movie that makes you laugh, practicing mindfulness. Here we go. By taking deep, focused breaths or going for a run. Anything he says that will decrease the energy. So we talk about this breathing exercises, don't we? Yeah. Yeah. This last tip is the one that I've been putting to good use over the past few years, the author's telling us. I've never been more thankful for a new season of the Great British Baking Show. And when the distraction no longer works or I'm out of new episodes, she said, I'm trying to remind myself that I'm worried because I care, and it's perfectly fine to be hopeful. Worrying because you care. This is Amy Gallo, is a contributing editor at Harvard Business Review, co-host of the Women. Let me uh, move this a little bit. At Work podcast, and the author of Getting Along: How to Work with Anyone, Even Difficult People, and the HBR Guide to Dealing with Conflict. Harvard Business Review Press, 2017. So she writes and speaks about workplace dynamics. This was really good. Thank you so much, Amy. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now let's go to our next one. We're talking about dealing with disappointment. How to stop worrying is from Psychology Today. How to stop worrying about things you can't change. We need to practice this every chance we need to practice it. Okay? We need to stop worrying about things we can't change. And there are 6 strategies here to get our worrying under control. 6 strategies here. This was posted on the 28th of September in 2021. Okay. Did I? Okay, Susanna Newsonen. Susanna Newsonen. Okay? How to stop worrying about things you can't change. Okay. This was reviewed by Chloe Williams. The key points here in this piece are the first point, about 85% of the things people worry about never happen. We've been here before, haven't we? And people who let go of worries are generally healthier than those who stress. I know I've done this, I haven't done this particular piece, but I have talked about this 85%. About 85% of the things people worry about never happen, and people who let go of worries are generally healthier than those who stress. The next point, strategies to control worrying include learning to accept uncertainty, calling a friend to talk about one's worries, and practicing mindfulness. Okay, there's that mindfulness again. Next, distracting oneself with another activity, exercising, and designating a certain amount of time to write about one's worries can also help. Oh, yeah, we're on the right track, aren't we? They both agree. Both of these articles agree with each other. So, here we go. You've just finished a pitch for a potential client, and you're waiting with worry to hear if they'd like to work with you. You had an extra cookie with your tea, and you're worried it was one too many for the waistline you're watching. Or maybe you're about to go and have an evening out with your friends, and you're worried about whether it will rain. The common denominator in all these things is that you're worrying about things you can't change, which is a waste of energy. Here we go. This is so true. My goodness. You've already done your pitch, so you've done what you can to get the job. You've already eaten the cookie, so there's no point beating yourself up about it when it's already in your tummy. And the weather is uncontrollable. Worrying about it isn't going to change it. How often do you notice yourself worrying about the things you can't change? That's something to think about. How often do you find yourself or notice yourself worrying about things you can't change? We're talking about dealing with disappointment, okay? And this is a time that people need to hear this and let it soak in and then react according to what this information is telling us. The most likely answer is a few times a day, if not more, okay? So the question is, how often do you notice yourself worrying about things you can't change? The most likely answer is a few times a day, if not more. Why? No real reason. All it does is create unnecessary additional stress for both your body and mind while preventing you from experiencing the joys of today. Oh my goodness. All we have is this micro, nano, pico, femtosecond right now, the here and now. You see that? And so it said what you've done or what we've done in that unnecessary stressing is we just kept ourselves from experiencing the joys of today. So maybe it's time you learn to take your worrying down a notch. Maybe it's that time. So let's start by looking at what research has said about worrying in general. About 85% of the things we worry about never happen. If we worry about if what we worry about does happen, 79% of us said we handled the outcome better than we thought we would. People who let go of worrying, this is the third point. People who let go of worries instead of stressing over them are healthier than those who don't. Those are great points. That shows, now that was research, okay? Now that shows that there really is no reason to worry so much. Hence, here are 6 strategies to help you get your worrying in control. There'll be a time and a place for each of them. Number 1, accept uncertainty and learn to thrive in it. Isn't this good for us? Accept uncertainty and learn to thrive in it. The beauty of life is in how unpredictable it is. You never quite know what's around the corner. We don't. Learn to embrace this uncertainty and thrive in it. Who knows, it could even bring some exciting new opportunities you never even thought about. Put your heart and soul into the things you care about and work hard on achieving your dreams. That's all you can do. The rest is up to the world. Okay? Yeah, up to God. Yes, it is. Number 2, call a friend to talk about your worries. See, these are all working together, aren't they? These two. Call a friend to talk about your worry. Talking about your worry will help you get your head straight about whether your worry is realistic, worth worrying about, and something you can actually do anything about. It will help you understand that there's no point worrying about it if the outcome is out of your hands, and hence it lets you offload some of the worrying weight you carry around. It helps you to offload it if you talk to somebody, okay? And if you don't have anyone that you feel you can talk with, confide in, I'm the one, okay? 469-629-9543, or you can message me in one of my social media uh, sites, okay? But if you need to talk about it, you need to talk about it. I'm here to listen. Okay. Now, number 3, practice mindfulness. Here we go. Learning to be present will help you keep your mind focused on what you're doing now rather than worrying about things you can't change. Even simple meditations such as 10 minutes of sitting down, just focusing on your breathing, have been shown to reduce everyday stress. Talking about the breathing, inhale, exhale. It helps. It really does. And you know what? It works with blood pressure too. Number 4, distract yourself with another activity. Really can't seem to get it out of your head? Go do something completely unrelated and different that forces you to focus on something else. This is most effective if you choose an activity that you get fully immersed in, such as practicing your hobby or reading an exceptional book, and it can really get your mind, or watching some suspenseful movie on the television, or listening at Audible, and Alexa can, she'll even have a conversation with you. Okay? So there are many ways to distract yourself. For example, she says, I'm able to escape the world when I go to my horses. Even just brushing them and spending time with them takes my mind away from other things. Number 5, exercise. Doing some kind of exercise you enjoy will give you a break from your worries while reducing the levels of your stress hormones, stimulating the production of feel good brain chemicals, and improving your self image. If you're struggling to get your mind to be quiet during exercise, put some fun music on in your headphones or push yourself even harder, okay? So when you challenge your body, you will need to focus so you won't be able to worry about anything else other than the exercise itself. This is great information. And I practice these. I do. And another thing that I know, and it's not anything new, but when you eat, make sure you get up and move after you eat, okay? At least do something for 20 minutes if it's a walk or something like that. But do something. Sometimes I do my exercise, they're light, and just do something, okay? I thought I put that in there, okay? And then another thing to help you with your digestion, I learned it from a book that I'm going to start sharing again by Jethro Kloss. I'm going to start sharing that. Okay, but I've learned that while you're eating, if you don't drink during your food intake, then after you eat, then you drink, that helps your digestion better and it keeps everything solid. You don't have breaks in your bowels, okay? Yeah, that's something I learned. Now, let me go on. 6, these are things that help us. Sometimes people worry about the digestive so much, okay? Number 6, have a designated worry time and worry notebook. If you really want to take control of those worries and you're finding that the above strategies don't work, allow yourself to worry for a certain time period every day. Spend that time waiting about all or writing about all your worries in that notebook and accept that when the time is up, the worrying will have to stop. That way, you will get them out of your head and onto paper, which is very effective and in clearing your head. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Remember that worrying is a completely normal human emotion and that there is no need for you to beat yourself up about worrying. But you will be able to reduce your stress levels and boost your positive emotions if you're at least able to stop worrying about things you can't change. For the things that you can change, do something about them and fight your worry with action. For the things you can change, do something about them and fight your worry with action. For the things that you can't change, have a play with these 6 strategies to let your worries go. My goodness. For the things you can't change, have a play with these 6 strategies to let your worries go. Oh my goodness, this is so good. Now, Susanna Newsonen, MAPP, is a philosopher and writer. Her mission is to spread hope and love one reader at a time. Okay, this is Psychology Today. This was perfect timing. Thank you so much for being with me. I love you and happy election day. Remember, don't the things you cannot change, don't let those things cause you health problems. Please accept the things you cannot change. Deal with them. Go back and watch this again if you have to. I love you so much. Thank you. Thank you for being with me.
the whole world music, to sing a simple melody, to sing about all the joys and good times, yeah. You see, that's the way God meant for it to be. And if you don't like it, you don't have to sing. You don't have to sing my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to play. You don't have to play my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to sing. You don't have to sing my song. If you don't like it, you don't have to play my song. I'd love to sing a song for all the children. They are our future, can you see? Take a little time out for the babies and teach them about love, hope, and prosperity.